I get asked a lot, how do I do business with the Department of Health and Human Services, or HHS, as a government contractor? And one of the things I like is that HHS makes it easier than most agencies to work with them. They're pretty transparent. They continue to work on tools, et cetera. And they're small business friendly. And here's what I mean by small business friendly in numbers, right? And I've got some notes here. In 2023, so the last fiscal year we have measurements on, they did 50,000 contracts, basically. And that represented $33.4 billion in contract award. And so that's a lot, right? So 50,000 contracts, 7,000 of them, about 7,200 of them, or $3.5 billion. So 7,000 of the 50,000 were set aside to small businesses in one way or another. That's good. That's nice, right? But the thing that also is pretty impressive when you think about HHS being friendly to small businesses, meaning they see small businesses as a value to their mission success, is that they did 50,000 contracts in 2023, but 25,000 of those contracts, more than 50%, were set aside, or excuse me, not set aside, but were awarded to small businesses as a prime contractor. And that represented $10 billion, or 30% or so of the spend. Those are factual pieces of information that I like looking at because it reminds me or points out that these guys are small business friendly. They like working with small businesses because they understand our strengths, our flexibility, but they also see the success that small businesses can bring to the HHS mission. So I just wanted to put that in perspective as we move forward and we dive into today's training. In today's training, I'm going to talk a lot about kickstarting your journey in HHS as a government contractor. And I'm going to walk through a lot of different information. So instead of slides today, I'm actually just going to go in and go live right into HHS. I want to walk you right to where previously I might have shown you slides. Here, I want to take you into the tool, show you how I use it and how you can use it as soon as we finish this live training today. If you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonald. I want to welcome you to my federal sales training, where I provide tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years as a small business owner in the federal market, and since 2018, I've been helping people like you realize that government contracting is not a secret, it's just a process. When we follow a process A to Z, we're going to have repeatable, predictable results. That's what I think you can have when you look at how do I break into an agency, right? How do I kickstart my journey, not just into HHS, but into any agency? When you've got a process like I'm going to teach you today for HHS, then you can just kind of repeat this at other agencies and have that predictable success. Before we get too much farther, do me a favor and put your company name, your core competency into the chat. I know that we get buyers coming in. Just had a buyer reaching out about a sources sought and notice that went out today, and I engaged on it. They come into my training. They look at these comments. Even if they don't engage, they're definitely here. They watch. I have tens of thousands of people who watch my content every single month. And so I want you to be able to share your company's name and your core competency. So if somebody looks at it, they go, oh, maybe I'll reach out and connect. Okay, so let me share my screen, and I'm going to dive into the training through a website. So if you haven't been to my website, by the way, go to govconchamber.com. Ton of information on there that I don't even share on LinkedIn because I just have limits on LinkedIn. So we put a lot more information here. Come check it out. But what I am going to do is to use this article that I wrote on my newsletter. So if you haven't subscribed to the Government Contracting Success newsletter, come join almost 13,000 people who are in there getting really good, valuable content every day. In fact, if I just show that to you really quick, today we just put out how to find competitor rates, right? That was from a training, but it's an article. Newsletters talking about training and some other stuff. Here's one about capability briefing deck. How to have government contracting success, why federal buyers won't buy. These are just in the last week or two. There's a lot of articles. I think we're almost up to 100 articles. I don't know where it is. 89 articles there, right? So there's a lot of information. But I'm going to use one of the articles that we have out there from December. That's how to do business with HHS. And the reason I like using this is because everything I'm going to show you today, this article has a replay video, but it also has all these links. And so when you're done the training, you come back to this article and get those links. So I'm going to walk you through the process. I got my slides, or basically my slides are open based on these tabs. But I want to walk you through the journey of how I begin to go into an agency, and I want to get started. So the first thing I want you to do when you're looking at an agency like HHS or a department, right? They're huge, but it really doesn't matter how big they are because every office, command, agency, department, they're all the same. They're this big and they're broken down this way, whatever that way is. You want to learn that way. And so in this case, the Department of HHS, they break their organizational structure down in two ways. Let me zoom in a little bit, right? They have an Office of Secretary, which has a bunch of offices, which I'll show you in a second. And then it has operating divisions. I'll start on the right-hand side because these operating divisions are basically the agencies under the Department of HHS or Health and Human Services. And so as you come through, you want to begin to look at how they're broken up, right? Here's some of the biggies like CDC, CMS, NIH is down here somewhere. There you go. So these are the big spenders. On the left-hand side, you can see all the different major offices. So if you're IT, there's HHS's CIO shop. You can go in there and learn how they broken down. In fact, I might click on that just for the fun of it. But the idea is, and I'm going to zoom back out, like here's Office for Civil Rights. I have a customer that does EEO and employee relations, investigations, et cetera, for fairness. This might be a place for them to look at and explore. And that was a really good point for me to drive home why I'm showing you the org chart. The first thing you want to do at HHS is look at their org chart and go, well, which agency should I be targeting? Because some of them buy more of what I sell than others. And you want to begin to take that time to understand it. The first way you begin to understand that is to just understand the org chart. What I like to do is to have this org chart. I put it into a particular tool I use, but you can put it into PowerPoint or something, just so you have it in your own world. And then I start Xing these out. Like let's say the Office of Assistant Secretary of Administration. I do a little research. I'm like, nah, that's an X. And then another one, I do a green circle or a check mark or something. Basically, I'm doing some research as I'm trying to go down my journey of getting into HHS and really owning them as a customer. I'm telling myself, which offices do I want to go into and which ones don't I want to go into? And don't I might mean I don't want to go into them now, but I'll look in 2025 again, because you can't get into every office. It's just too much time. There's just too many people. There's too much work to be done. So first thing I do is I look at an org chart. If I just look at CIO office for 1 second, right? One of the cool things is that when I come in here, I can begin to see, I get people telling me this all the time. How can I find people at an agency, et cetera? Well, just do some research and you can find it. Some of it is as easy as this. So you see here, Jennifer Wendell is the CIO for HHS. I can come down. If I'm a data company, I just saw data somewhere. There you go. Chief Data Officer down here. I can see Manaz. I'm pronouncing it badly. I'm sure. I'm sorry. But I can see the CDO, the Chief Data Officer, who that is. I can go follow them on LinkedIn. I can go further into the website and learn. And because I went into the CIO's office, I can go, what do we do? What's our mission? I can look at these things and go, do I want to pursue them or don't I? Now, this one's very easy because if you do IT, you certainly want to, pursue the CIO's office one way or another, even just to stay informed. So first step, org chart. Understand that org chart, right? The next thing is you want to continue your research. You want to understand what's the mission of HHS? What's the mission of CDC? Or let me use, I was going to use NIH, but so inside of NIH, which is under HHS, there are 17 other health institutes. Let's call them that for a second. But there's all these different offices when you keep coming down, and they each have their own mission. So you want to look at HHS's strategic plan and understand from a high level, what are they doing? Then you can go into CDC or NIH, for example, and to begin to look further and further down. So I'm showing you the strategic plan. I'll show you a couple of more in a second. But right here, I'm always going into HHS's About section, trying to learn what they have. You can't download this particular document. HHS is, I think, the only agency that doesn't give you a PDF, so you can do this offline. If I gave them a ding for anything, it would be this. They like saying that it's a web version so they can keep it up to date. That sounds cool and all, but all they're doing is creating more work for those of us who want it offline to be able to do our own research. But you can come in here and look at a lot, especially like the budget, which we'll talk about in a second. So as I go along, if I look at a strategic plan, right, that is looking at the 4-year plan out there and saying what's going on. But here they've got a 2024 annual performance plan and report. And the idea is this is a smaller point in time. And so you want to come in here and start looking. Let me just zoom into this. So here, remember, I showed you HHS's goals, right? I want to begin to look at how are these goals all coming across. So here's the org structure. but cross-agency priority goals. This is where I can see, and in fact, let's just go there for a second. Well, this is good also. It begins to talk about or give me links to more stuff, which is always good. But here, what I'm looking for is to understand what are their priorities, what are they doing as we move forward, and which ones might I be able to help with, right? As I move forward on this journey. Let me come back up to the table of contents right here. One of the other things that is hugely valuable, strategic plan, any strategic documents, this performance plan, is being able to come in here. I don't know if you're able to see some of this, but like right here, strengthen social well-being, equity, and economic resilience. I might look at that and figure out how does that apply to my customer that I was telling you about, EEO. If I scroll down, I was looking for, actually, let me come up a little bit and see if I can find workforce. Nah, I can't find it easily. But I was looking for, like, do they have a strategic goal that is around workforce development? And I don't want to spend a lot of time going into their stuff because I'll run out of time today. But you can look at these objectives. And what I would do is take each one of those objectives and go, what I sell, can we contribute? Yes or no? The reason this is important is when you have meetings, you can always be driving back the conversation to the strategic plan or the annual report saying, hey, I was looking at the annual report and objective 5.3 or something. It was talking about this, and I'd like to expand on this. This goes to, and I don't know if I'm about to show this on the next slide, but this goes to this whole idea that I teach that if you're going to go in and build relationships with a customer, then you want to be able to make sure that you're showing them that you care. There's this line, people don't care what you know until they know that you care. If you're referencing their annual performance plan report, and you're talking about that, you're trying to explore what's in there, especially as it relates to that person, that unique office that you're talking to, they will begin to know that you care, and then they will care what you know. They will care what you sell. Okay, so that's an annual report. This whole idea, right? We're coming into an agency. Our journey begins with seeking first to understand. The next one is the budget. I highly recommend you go in here. I like the irony here is that this is the budget in brief, and it's 170 pages. Right? And so the FY 2024 budget explained briefly is done in 170 pages. Imagine what the full budget is like. And you can go look at the full budget as well. That information is available too. And the reason this is really helpful, and I'm not going to go through the document too much, but you can go in here and begin to see how are they spending money? How do they spend money on people? How many people are in each agency? What are some of their major programs that they have out there, these major initiatives? You want to go through the budget and to begin to help yourself see that. Let me just come down 1 second. So here are the agencies. But in here, when you look at the budget, they'll break it down by each one. And so, when you come down into the different offices that they have, they're different programs. So there's CMS, Indian Health Services, HRSA, which is Health Resource Services Administration. You can go in there and look at each one of these and see how they're broken down. This is how I can look at National Institute of Health, for example, and see where the major points of spending are. And often in a budget, they'll also talk about their challenges and goals. So this is a great way to continue that research from the org chart, understanding the structure, to understanding the strategy and their short-term plans aligned to the budget that they're asking for. Okay, so this document, I just like showing this as a way to say, because right now we're in a continuing resolution situation. If you're not understanding how the budget gets passed, basically Congress and the president have to pass it, right? They all have to get together, which they don't do. So we do these continuing resolutions and they're moving forward. But sometimes you'll hear in the news these threats of shutting down the government. These type of documents talk about what happens in the absence of a budget, right? In easy terms. If they don't pass a budget, if they say that the government is shut down, which it never does, right? I don't know why I quoted does, but if they shut it down, right? What happens? This is really good to find out what will happen to my contracts. Will they keep going? In my past company, I always made sure I was aligning my contracts to necessary services. Today, I'm just doing quotes, but necessary services. That way, if government got shut down, we were still there having to take care of the government. And so not all of us can do that, but you want to pay attention so you have contingency and you're able to inform your staff. But this is a great document. And just wrapping up the documents, I think you can see them all over here on the left-hand side. You do a lot of research, and this is just at the department level. if you go into each one of the agencies, you'll find a ton more information that I just can't show you now. But this is the first part of your journey, and it is also the first step of the 7-step process that I teach for federal revenue success. It begins with research, understanding the customer you want, because people don't care what you know until they know that you care. And when you do research, you show that you care. All right, so let's move on out of research and moving into the next part of your journey. I really want you to be paying attention to is just register at HHS or with HHS to show them you're interested in working with them. I always say the number one market research tool is DSBS, but that's not the first place buyers go. The first place buyers go is their own local resources, and then they go out to DSBS, the Dynamic Small Business Search, to see if there's something else that they want. And so HHS has stood up an entire tool for registering in there. Oh, excuse me. So this is a forecast, but let me just talk about the tool really quick. So they have a small business directory, right? So you want to make sure you register in there. And you can just come over here. There's a registration link right there on the page. So you can see that where it says register. But I want to show you just some quick stats that help you understand why it is important to register. We just had a customer last week get contacted by a contracting officer, and they reached out to him through the market research, some keyword researches, searches, and then looked at their capability narrative and moved forward. So for HHS, it's something similar. If I come over here and I type in, let's just type in, hey, how can you not let me type? There we go. So if I just type in, I used to be called HUBZone Chamber of Commerce, if you don't know that. But if I type in HUBZone, I can come in here and see that there are 901 records. That's what I want you to see for a second. So just to put this in perspective, DSBS, if we go over here to DSBS and I say, show me HUBZone, so I'm clicking right there, is HUBZone required? And I'm just gonna hit enter and see if it works. And so while it's going out there and searching, right, it's going out to find how many firms are HUBZone firms. There's 4,000 currently, there's 4,467 firms, probably a little less than that because some of them are registered twice if they have multiple offices, et cetera. But basically, let's say there's 4,000 HUBZone, certified HUBZone companies in DSBS. But for HHS, the buyers are only gonna see 901. And if they can find 900, they're not gonna go look for the other 3,000, right? I mean, all things being equal, if they could come in here, find 10, 20, 30 HUBZone companies, why would they bother looking anywhere else? That's a good pool. They can reach out to them, say, hey, are you interested in bidding on something? And so make sure you get in here and register your company. Just one more thing. Let me see if I can get this. Come on. Stuff is killing me. This tool is. So let's try this one more time. So 3,008 women-owned small businesses, right? And if I come back, and it's important to learn how to use these tools out here, but now I'm going to say, show me woman-owned small business certified, right? That's all I'm doing is choosing that one thing. And let's see how many of them are registered. So right now, there's tens of thousands of women-owned small businesses, but there's only 11,400 SBA certified women-owned small businesses, right? That's the new way of doing it. And so if we come back here, there are only 3,000. That means 8,000 women-owned small businesses are communicating to HHS unintentionally that you're not interested in working with HHS. Who wouldn't be interested in working with HHS? They're literally the busiest agency over the last 5 years or something, right? And so this is an oversight, I believe, on your part if you're not in here. Come in here, click SBCX registration, get registered, get visible to the buyer. The next thing is I would be coming in here looking for opportunities. So this one here, you can search if you want, or you can click on view all, which I'll just do at the moment. But if you come through here, you can begin to look at these opportunities and see if you can find opportunities that are interesting to you. It starts off with 3,000 opportunities. That's not ever really the case. You have to come across and begin to filter things out. So let's look at this, like target award year, just as an example. I'm going to deselect everything, and I'm just going to say, like this one's cool, 2000. So I love the mistakes, right? The mistakes are tough for us. But if I say that this is all I'm looking for, that the target award month year is 9/24, which is a really interesting thing, there's 400 opportunities. And I don't know why 9/24 is in there, but I feel like they just chose it as a default. I might ask HHS themselves, hey, why is that the case? But one of the things I really want you to keep in mind, right, is that you can look in here and see opportunities. You can see the size, but then obviously the operating division or agency. Oh, this is interesting. Well, no, there's a lot. So anyways, but the last thing is, look, there's points of contact, right? So if you find opportunities, you can go reach out to these people. The other thing to keep in mind when you're trying to reach out and start your journey with HHS is you don't have to call them about an opportunity, but you can use the long range acquisition forecast to find opportunities maybe that were older, right? Remember that right here, I just used, let me get rid of this guy. I just used, 2024 or whatever. But if I select them all, I can go back and say, show me somebody who did something in 11/23, right? And so this is an older one, subject matter expert for somebody, right? Oh, I wish I had won that. Well, I can reach out to Kelly Fowler and try to see, is there more opportunities like this? Can I talk to you about the opportunity? Or excuse me, not the opportunity, but about the need. Why did you need subject matter experts? Or maybe I just want to get in there and I'm looking for a name. Right here, I've got all these people's names, numbers, or names and emails, and you can do a little research and get their numbers. So as I'm starting my journey, right, I'm understanding the structure, I'm understanding their mission and what they do through the strategic documents. I'm registering with HHS. I'm looking at the forecast to see if there's opportunities I want to pursue. And then I can also look at finding people who I might be able to reach out to. The next one is, speaking of people to reach out to, right? Here is the Office of Small Disadvantaged Business. We call it OSDBU. OSDBU, like I'm scaring you. And the thing you want to pay attention to, if you come down here, Shannon Jackson runs this. He's the OSDBU. But if you come down, you're able to find points of contact. And these people are super generous with their information. Make sure that if you're going to reach out to them, talk to your PTAC first, or your SBDC, to make sure you're even at a minimal level. That way, when you reach out to Anita, for example, another super helpful small business professional, when you reach out to Anita, you're not reaching out and saying, how do I register in SAM, or should I get on HHS? Do your own homework beforehand, and then reach out to Anita to talk about the strategic objectives that I mentioned, or maybe meeting some program office personnel. But there's no excuse for not being able to get into HHS. I taught about this yesterday, I think, in a training that you can find about how to get in and meet with buyers. The last tip I gave people was just be persistent. And so this stuff is great. There's a lot of buyers in here. I did not share another slide. Let me just see if I can share it here really quick. I do have, let me try. Well, I can't see it, but I can share it here. If I go to LinkedIn, I think I got it here. Nah, it's key points of contact, so it's still the wrong thing. But I've got another slide that you'll find that has heads of contracting activity. And so this enables you to be able to not only reach out to key people within the OSDBO office, the small business professionals, but you can also reach out to the head of contracting activities, the person who's in charge of contracting officers, et cetera. If you're not getting traction, if you're trying to reach out about an opportunity in the long range forecast, but you're not getting anybody taking your calls, you can reach out to these people and they can help you navigate as well. HHS does a great job trying to make it easy for you to identify a person's name and their role, and then their phone number and email. The last thing I wanted to show you here is just on LinkedIn, right? I'm showing you, like I showed you, I don't know, maybe this was 20 or 30 people who are in here. We have a small business directory on our website that you can get. Where can you get it? Oh, right here, directories. We keep improving stuff. Right here is a small business directory. You can get over 1,000 names of small business specialists, including all the HHS ones. But if you come into HHS on LinkedIn, now you're able to get a lot more traction finding people. So if I click on people for HHS, I'm able to see over 10,000 people at HHS. And, maybe I want to just find people with a job related to data. Hopefully this works right. So I just filtered it down, but you can see assistant director, division of data analytics. Here's a data scientist. Sometimes these are in and out, but leading technology and innovation person at ACF, which is an agency. So just really quickly, here's chief technology officer that's at labor, but you can look through here, right? Not all the data is 100% perfect, but just in one screen with 2,100 people on LinkedIn, I'm able to find a lot of folks that are in HHS. And so when I go back to this whole idea, and I think I'm going to end my training with this reminder to subscribe to the newsletter and make sure you're getting access to this article. And remember, government contracting, it's not a secret, it's just a process. I'll see you in the next training.